in. I see everyone pouring in here. It's fantastic. Great, we'll get started. Kia ora, Tato, and welcome to another Q&A. Welcome to my coffee mouth. I didn't have one yet. Kia ora. And welcome to another Q&A event here at Digital Boost. I'm Georgia Hatchis. Today, the stars have aligned and our schedules have aligned, and I was able to get Emily Ragg and Kat Elton from our Digital Boost team here, and we are going to talk about how to get found online with Checkable. So any questions you might have about this, please pop them into the Q&A or the chat function. I'll be keeping an eye out for this, but Emily and Kat are going to walk us through this great tool that we've got on Digital Boost. Take it away, ladies, and let us know what we're going to learn.
Thanks, Georgia. Hi, everyone. Just checking you're able to see my screen here, okay? Cool. So welcome, everyone. Hi to those of you who have joined one of these before, and welcome to anybody who is new to Digital Boost and Checkable. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get found online with Checkable, which we know is a really big question a lot of small businesses have. You have a website, you have a business, how do your customers actually find you? So Checkable is a tool that you can find on Digital Boost. If you've been to Digital Boost before, you'll be familiar with the homepage here. And you'll see there is a little Checkable tile just on the left. So it might look different to you if you've not been to Checkable before, but that's where you can get through to Checkable from Digital Boost, or you can find it in the menu. You can find some different resources here, but we'll go from our homepage. So Checkable is a diagnostic tool that if you have a website or a social media account for your business, you can give your details to Checkable and it will run a whole range of tests to work out how your online presence is going, where maybe you could make improvements and how you might go about doing that. So when you get to Checkable, you'll see that your website will render up here. And we'll zoom down a little. I'll give you a quick overview about what Checkable is, just in case you've not been before. So there are a whole bunch of tests that Checkable runs, and they've been grouped into different categories. So we look at things like compliance, which talks about how you and your customers can be safe online. So there's tests here you can click through to learn more about them, and you can see these little icons on the side. Give a little indication about how your website is doing. There are some customer experience tests that get run. So how easy is it for your customers to navigate your own site? Site speed, so how fast is your site? And today, of course, we're looking at visibility. So what are the things that you can do to make you more discoverable online? As you can tell, there are so many tests that can be a little bit overwhelming about what you do with that information. So one of the best things on Checkable, I think, is the digital action plan. So this prioritizes all of those tests into easy business wins. So those are the things that you're most likely to be able to do yourself pretty quickly. Business essentials, so things that you should really be doing online, but might take a bit more time or might have a bit more lead time to get up and running, or might take a bit more resource. And then the long-term goals, which are kind of the gold standard things that you should be doing to help your online presence, but might take more resource, more money, maybe some expert developer help, because they're a little bit more complicated. But we would suggest that you start checking off the things that fall into these easy business wins. This digital action plan is personalized to your business. So this will change depending on what things you update, any improvements that you make to your site. This will change. So this is purely for you. You can click through to each of these to learn more about those tests and what you might need to do to pass them. Or you can come through to the digital action plan itself, and you'll be able to see things that you've passed, and you can find all of your next things on your list that you might want to tick off. You can download some reports if you prefer to maybe print it off and tick things off physically beside you. So that's a really handy thing to do to help you just tick things off one bit at a time. You don't have to do everything at once, but the digital action plan is really helpful.
And I'll jump in for a second. And like part of the reason we're doing this, guys, is because I've been talking with a lot of business owners lately who have kind of mostly the theme has been like, how can I improve my website? How can I get more visitors? How can I get more traction with it? And in the one-to-one sessions that I've been running, most of the time I'm referring them to Checkable as like well, let's get an idea of the lay of the land of where your business is. So most people don't really have any idea really like they've got a website and they think, oh, well, I've got it all. It's all there. Why isn't, X, Y, Z happening? And this is just a really good starting point just to know where you're at and what you could work towards.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Kat. And you can see in these little progress bars here, they change color as you make improvements. Obviously, you want them to be green and as far across here as possible. But it's a really good way just to kind of work out where you're at and what are some things that you can do straight away to kind of help your business online. But we're talking about visibility today. So first up, probably the easiest and most effective thing that you can do to be found is to create a Google business profile. So most people, when they are looking at what they want to buy, they'll go to Google and they will compare businesses, compare products, look at maybe where physical stores are, your opening hours, all those sorts of things. So it's a really important way just to be found physically if you've got a brick and mortar store. But also if you sell online, you can have your website there. That's where people go through to browse, check that you've got the products or services that they're looking for. When you come to Checkable, you notice that all these pages will follow a similar format. So you'll have the name of the test up here. You'll see a status tag of where your website is at. So you can see here that the profile is not verified. So this means that we have a Google business profile, but it hasn't been verified with Google yet. So you will want to verify your business with Google because it just protects you. It means that no one else can claim your business and say that that they are the owners of your business, or they can't make any changes and things like that. So you can verify your business with Google. It can take maybe about a week to do. Sometimes they'll come back to you for more information. It can take a little while to actually filter through to being online. But eventually, once you're verified, that means that you're all safe and secure. Google recognizes you as a valid business. If you haven't got a Google business profile, this section will look a little bit different to you, but it will lead you off to Google to go and create one. And once you have a Google business profile, you can come and connect it to Checkable, and you'll be able to see some information that you have as an overview of what you've got on Google business profile. You can disconnect from Checkable at any time. But if you zoom down here, you'll be able to see kind of a snapshot of the types of information that you have uploaded to your Google business profile. So you want to obviously have your business name, maybe the category that your business falls under, the area that you service. So maybe you're just in one location, maybe there's multiple locations that you have potential stores or that you service, and a little description about what your business is. Opening hours are really important. If you do have a physical store, people definitely come to Google to check what's open. And if you're able to connect any reviews that people have left you on Google, again, when people are trying to compare businesses, they definitely rely on reviews and compare against other businesses. There is some information that you'll have to go back to Google to update. So if the phone number is incorrect, or maybe you've moved location, you will need to go back to Google to change that and validate it, because they will need to check that it is you that's making those changes. But otherwise, this is just a nice little place where you can double check what are your customers saying about you online. So that is Google Business Profile. It's a pretty easy one to get up and running straight away. So I definitely recommend starting with that if you don't have one already. I'm now back on the visibility category page on Checkable. So this is where you can come and see all the different tests that fall within this category. The next test we're going to look at is search ranking. So these are SEO changes that you can make to your homepage to make sure your website is more visible online. So when we think about search ranking, these are the things that you can do to ensure Google finds you and pushes you up those search results when people search for you or businesses like yours on Google. So obviously you want to be on the first page of Google search results, right at number one. It's pretty difficult to do, but this page helps you look at the things that will get you closer to those positions. So you can see I have one error detected here. So that's not too bad. Checkable looks at your homepage to start with, but if you want to look at your other web pages to see how they're doing from an SEO audit perspective, you can just input it here, run the audit, and this will update. The items are grouped into errors, warnings, and past. So obviously past are things that you don't need to worry about. They're things that are all good to go. Warnings are things that you could change, but they're not super urgent, but you could look into, and again, it will help go towards getting you up those search rankings on Google. And errors are sort of bigger things that you want to look at first and are probably hampering your chances of being pushed up to those first or second page results. A lot of this will look like absolute jargon. So you can come over to these little icons to read more about what the analysis is running. Some of these items you'll be able to change yourself if you've got access to the editing panel of your website. So say you've created a website using Wix or Shopify or Squarespace or anything like that, and you're in control of doing things, you might be able to make a lot of these changes yourself. There'll be other things which are a bit more complicated and you might need a developer's help or maybe someone who's a bit more technically savvy. If that's the case, you can download your full report and you can give that to someone, say a developer, to say, look, Checkable is saying that these things are coming up as errors or warnings. Can you take a look at my website and see if you can make those changes? Would always recommend getting a quote before you get any work done, because like anything, it can end up being opening a can of worms, but would suggest sending that PDF document to a developer to give you a hand if you need it. But there are some things that you can change yourself that will make a big difference. So it's checking things like, do you have a title on your pages and the length of that title? So it might be that your titles are much too long and Google's thinking, oh, that's too much and will push you down. Or maybe they're thinking, oh, it's not descriptive enough. You need to make it a bit more explanatory. So kind of reading these descriptions, looking at these little tips and these icon buckets will help you find out a little bit more. Things like having alt text on your images, so giving your images a description so that screen readers can identify what the image is about, is really helpful. Google is all about accessibility, so making sure everybody can understand what is on your website and read it. So anybody that uses devices to help navigate a website like a screen reader needs things like alt text. They might need to make sure that font sizes are legible so everyone can read them, that contrast is good so that people with low vision can identify text, all those sorts of things. So you can come and have a look here at some of these things. Having a favicon, so that's the little icon that sits in a tab, these here, when your website's open in a browser, it makes it easy to find amongst other tabs. If you're like me, I have 4 million tabs open at any given time, so it's really handy having one of those. That's just a little image you can upload to your website. So things like that make it really easy. So you can come to the search ranking page, see how your website fares. It will tell you here. Again, like all other pages on Checkable, watch these videos. They give you an overview of the topic. And and an understanding of what you can do on this page. There's always a learning guide. So that's giving you kind of tips about this page. It will give you more of an explanation around what your result means. And there's heaps more resources and links to other sites within these learning guides to help you make these improvements. So in the first moment would say, come to the page, see what your website result is, watch the video, download the learning guide to learn more about the topic. Because some of these can be a bit complicated, and sometimes they're not. They're quite straightforward. If you do go and make changes to your website, so say you've added a favicon, you've gone and added alt text to all your images, you can come back to Checkable and rerun this test. So an easy way to do that is just clicking on next steps. There's a rerun the test down here. If you click that, it will just refresh the page and it will load and hopefully detect those changes that you've made so that your status can change. There are some tests on Checkable that might take a little while to come through and be detected. That's often because it might take Google some time to recognize a change has been made, or the internet has recognized a change has been made. But generally, if you come back within a day or so, you'll be able to see that these have updated, if not immediately. Cool, so that is search ranking. So that is what can you do so that Google can find you. The next test that we're going to look at is search engine results. So this is what can you do so that your customers can find you online. So we talked about search ranking, so doing all those tweaks to your website so that Google pushes you up in the rankings. Search engine results is around what kind of keywords can you use in your advertising, in your metadata, in the copy on your website that your customers are searching for. So when they search for a product or service like yours, your website is likely to appear in the search results because they match what they're searching. So unlike other tests on Google where a check is run on your website, this is actually a tool you can just play around with. So Checkable hack for you, all you need to do to pass this test on Checkable is come to this page and have a play around with this. Just fiddle around, try it out. You'll immediately pass it. You're welcome. So if you come down here, what you can do is try different keywords that you use on your site or that you're thinking about using. And then you can see what competitors are ranking highest for those keywords. And in this little image here, you'll see how that might render in real life online. It might look a little different depending on where you're based or where you're looking from. But you'll be able to see this is what it might look like on Google if you search for those keywords. If your website ranks in the top 100 search results for that keyword or that phrase, it will say that here. It's not the be all and end all if you're not in the top 100 results. It can be challenging, especially if you're a business that is in a highly competitive market or has lots of competitors. But that's sort of like the aim of the game, is to try and get in those top 100 search results. So you can try different words and phrases here. You might also want to change the location. So for example, if you are a plumber in Napier, you might not care about what people are searching for in Auckland because you don't care that you are ranking high on the Auckland plumber search results. You just want to make sure that you are found locally. So you might want to change your location to where your customers might be searching from. You can also change the device type. So depending on what your business is, your customers might be more likely to be searching on a mobile or a desktop device. More and more people are on their phones, so they're likely to search on a mobile. But sometimes, you might have a website that actually has such a lot of information and such a lot of resources that it's easier to view on a desktop. So maybe they will come to just a normal computer to search. So you can try these different devices to see how that changes search results. It can be interesting. But maybe the best part about this page is it's kind of sneaky. You can try these keywords, see who your top competitors are, and then you can go to their sites and see how are they using these keywords, or what other keywords are they using. So if you're looking at the top few competitors, go to their sites, see the type of language that they're using. There might be words or phrases that you haven't thought about that are relevant that you can then use in your own copy, in your own meta tags and your own metadata, in your own advertising. That can be really helpful. So that's just a nice one that you can experiment with and see what kind of words are bringing up what kind of businesses, and then what kind of inspiration can you take from those top ranking competitors.
I'm just imagining everyone running off now to go and check their competitors. We're all so nosy as humans. Is this like this part of Checkable probably gets the most traffic, eh?
So, totally. Like, what is everybody else doing? You want to know. And sometimes it's just nice to be like, oh, I'm on the right track. I am doing the right thing. Like this. These are the sorts of things that my customers want to search for. I've already got that right. Sometimes it's just a matter of doing a sense check to be like, am I on the right track?
Yeah, absolutely.
We like knowing what everyone else is up to. There's a couple of places down here as well that can give you some inspiration around what other kind of keywords you can use for SEO. So think like your customer. Have what might your customers be wanting to search for, but also expand your reach. Ask family and friends, colleagues. Have a look on social media pages. Ask other people, what if you were going to find this type of product or service, how might you ask that? And then use those words in your site, or try them out here to see how they rank. Obviously study your competition, so you can use this page to look at what other people are doing. And then once you've got a range of keywords, you can implement them. So you can come here and watch a video on SEO tips on Digital Boost, and that will give you some inspiration on where you can weave those keywords on your site to be more discoverable. So that is our search engine results page. So Google has found you, your customers have found you. The thing that we will ramp up to the next level is the behemoth of Google Ads. So,
Emily, before we get into Google Ads, I just have a question, and there's a question in the Q&A. So when we update our website, let's say, and then go back to Checkable, is it automatically updated, or do you have to wait a few days for it to catch up?
The classic answer, it depends. On some of these pages, it will be automatic. So if you make a change, it will immediately show up and you'll be able to see those results straight away. Sometimes it will take a while for Google or for the internet to recognize those changes have been made, for it to filter through to Checkable. So a good example would be an SSL certificate. So that sits under the compliance category. So you want to have you want your website to have an SSL certificate, because that makes it safe and secure for you and your customers. Once you get an SSL certificate, that can take sometimes 3 or 4 days for it to kind of appear online. So Checkable won't be able to know that straight away. So you might have to wait a few days. But other things like we're talking about adding in a favicon or changing the lengths of your titles, those sorts of things should update pretty quickly. So I would, in the first instance, make your changes, come back to Checkable, rerun the test, see if it changes immediately. If it doesn't, maybe just give it a day and come back again to see if it's updated. So I know that's a really vague, unsatisfying answer.
No, I think it makes sense. It's good to know if you put things in and then certain things take longer time.
Yeah. So, I think that's the thing. Don't fret if it doesn't update immediately. They will be captured and they will eventually tick over, and they will be identified. It might just take a little time. But yeah,
Great.
first instance, come back, rerun, and it more often than not will update immediately.
Thank you.
Google Ads, however, is not one of those. You'll get some results instantly, but you might not see the benefit of your labors until a little while later. So the Google Ads page on Checkable, you will need a Google Ads account and you'll need to connect it to Checkable. If you haven't got a Google Ads account, you can easily go and set one up. Again, your section here might look a little bit different if you haven't got an account, and there'll be links for you to go off and set up your account. You will need to have a credit card to connect to Google to pay for ads. Google Ads can get really expensive, but they don't need to be as well. But just a caveat that Checkable and Digital Boost don't hold any of that financial information. We don't hold any of that data. Any payments are between you and Google. Google will invoice you. So just something to keep in mind. But the reason this Google Ads feature was created for Checkable was because Google Ads is an absolute monster. If you haven't been on it before, it's a pretty incredible tool. There are so many things that you can do on it to create ads, to target certain customers so that your ads are seen in certain places by certain people. But there are whole businesses that are dedicated to creating and placing and monitoring the ads for their customers. And you can get in pretty deep. So it's quite an overwhelming platform. And what we've done on Checkable is just create a really simplified portal. So you can get up and running really quickly. You can pause and remove ads whenever you want. And it's just something fun that you can play around with and don't have to get bogged down in all the other features and whistles and bells that Google has, because we know that can be pretty daunting, to be honest. So once you connect your Google Ads account to Checkable, again, you can disconnect it at any time. We don't hold on to any of that data, so you can kind of be rest assured that we're not going to do anything with that. It's purely a connection so that we can pull through from Google Ads and display this information to you. This simplified portal is really the best for people that haven't created ads on Google before. You can create smart campaigns in Checkable. There are all kinds of campaigns that you can create in Google Ads, including search campaigns, but we create smart campaigns in Google. As much as we hate to admit it, Google knows much more about our customers and their shopping habits than we will ever be able to know. So a smart campaign means that you basically give the bare minimum information to Google about your ad, where you want your customers to click, and a little bit of information. They will do all the heavy lifting on demographics, so the types of people it's going to be shown to, all different kinds of keywords that people might search for it to be displayed. So you don't need to be spending hours and hours doing all that research to find out, where should I be putting this? Google does that for you. If you have previously created campaigns in Google Ads, you'll be able to see them and do some other things with them, like create ad groups and portfolio strategies and look at keywords. You'll be able to still kind of manage and edit and create things here. But the real power of this portal in Checkable is creating these smart campaigns. You can get up and running really quickly. So I'll just run you through what you can do to get started. First of all, we just need a goal for our ad. So do we want to get more phone calls to our business? Do we want more website sales or sign-ups to our newsletters or our website or our service? Or do we want more visits to our physical location? So you can choose a goal of your ad. And then we just give some details. So we want to put our business name here. you want to put a URL for where you want your customers to go after the click. So this might not necessarily be your homepage. It might be a specific product page. It might be an About Us page. It could be anything. So this is the exact page you want your customers to go when they click on that ad. Then you can give your phone number, and it takes you through to the next part. So then you need to choose a location. So where do you want this ad to be shown? So I'm going to select Auckland. You can add it and then get Google to recommend some other locations. Some of them might not be relevant. You might see that some of these phone numbers are popping up. We can ignore those, but I might think, oh, actually, yeah, Papakura, that's good. And yeah, Mechanics Bay. Okay, fine. If you change your mind, you can just get rid of them here.
Emily, how many locations can you add? Do you know?
I think you can add as many as you want. I don't think there is a limit. As long as I think you've got some broad locations in there as well. You don't want to narrow yourself too far down, because you still want people to kind of find you on the fringes as well, potentially. So you don't necessarily want to go super local if actually your business is selling to bigger places.
And could you put in like the whole world? I want the whole world to find me. Is that just too broad?
So if I think it might be too broad, but
Yeah.
let's see if we can, will it let us do? There we go. Okay, so it's giving us recommendations for overseas if you export as well. But we will stick with Auckland for now. There we go. You also want to put the language which you want to be seen in. So we're going to add English as our language because that's going to be the main one that people are going to be searching in. Then we're going to go next. Oh, maybe I need to do that. There we go. And now we get to keywords. So this is where our search engine results page that we just looked at can be really helpful. So maybe there are some keywords there that you have discovered that you might want to use. So I'm going to put digital courses as a phrase or some keywords that I want to use. Again, you can add and recommend. So not all of these will be relevant, but you can see already Google has made all of these suggestions. So I might think, actually, I'd like that one. I'd like that one. I'd like that one. Actually, I think I don't want that one now, so you can get rid. So you can choose up to 7 keywords, and these suggestions are based on your the URL that you've provided as well as the keywords that you've prompted. So you can choose up to 7, and then based on those, Google will also decide what other types of keywords or phrases are used and show your ads in those situations as well. Then we get to the good part where you can write your Google ad. So you'll see here that there's a little preview. So this is an example of how your ad will show up on Google search results. So you can see that it's an ad. That's how it identifies it. The URL, which you wanted your users to go to when they clicked on your ad. And then here you can see that there are several headlines and some descriptions. So you can write your headlines in here. There's a maximum of 30 characters for these. You can see them separated by these vertical lines. And again, some descriptions that you can put about your business or whatever your ad's about. This would be a really good place, actually, if you wanted to use a generative AI tool like ChatGPT to create headlines for you. Sometimes it can be tricky to write ad copy, but you could go to something like ChatGPT and say, my business is a plumbers in Napier that offers these services. Write me 3 headlines, maximum 30 characters each, and they can spit them out. Or give me a description maximum 90 characters each. So that could be a really good way, if you're not a fan of writing, or if you struggle to come up with some words, that you can use AI to do the work for you. Once you are happy with your ad, we're going to go next, and you can set a budget. So Google will suggest a recommended budget per day, and you can see the maximum that would cost per month. So you can really be in control of and kind of know how much you're going to spend at any one time. Or you can enter a custom budget. You might decide that actually I don't want to spend more than $5 a day, and just see how we go. So obviously, like we said before, Google Ads can get really expensive. That people can get really complicated and tricky with them. But for us, we just want to get up and running just so that we even have a chance of being seen. So we're going to try that to start with. And that's it. So that's all the information that you need to do and need to give Google, and they will do everything else to show your ad to the right people at the right time in the right places. And you'll see any of your ads that you've created have now fallen into this, this table. You can see that it's live by this little green icon here. And if I select it, you can either remove it or pause it. It might be that you want to get a bunch of ads up for a campaign you're about to start, but you don't want them live right yet. You want to get them organized, and then you want them to go live next week. You could set them up here, pause them, and then enable them again. So you could pause. And then you can enable once you're ready to go again. And if you decide, actually, I don't want to run this ad anymore, or I made a mistake, whatever it is, you can remove it and it will just be removed. So this pop-up is just saying that if you remove this ad, it will be removed from any other ad groups or portfolios that they might be involved with. We haven't got them involved in any of those yet. It's just a singular ad, so we can happily remove it. You can also track some data here about that ad. So we can see that this is our budget. We can see the status, so we know that it's been removed. It's a smart campaign, so that's where Google does all the work for us. But then you can see some stats here about how it's doing. Obviously, it's not live and it hasn't, no one's clicked on it, so there's no information, but you'll be able to see impressions. So how many times has someone seen the ad? How many times have people interacted it? Interaction rate, the average cost of the ad. So every time someone views it, your cost will go up, or click on it, your cost will go up. How many times your ad has been clicked, conversion rate, all sorts of things. So you can come here and just see how it's doing. You can also filter by your active and non-active ads, and you can see dates within different date ranges. So the ones that you've created in the last week, you might have a whole bunch of them, and you can do it by various date timeframes. And you might also want to keep track of this in a spreadsheet, or filter these different, or hide some columns. So you can download a CSV file that just downloaded a basic spreadsheet, so you can manage this information however you like. So that can be quite handy. And all these total columns, it looks a bit funny when there's more totals than there are ads in here. It'll just give you a little bit of information about what each of these lines mean and what you can read into about the data or the stats within these. So that's a smart campaign. What we would suggest as well is, once you have set up these ads, leave them. You don't want to be fiddling around in them too much, because every time you tweak it, it will change things for Google, and it kind of resets it and impacts how well it's going to do. So once you've set up an ad and you're happy with it, leave it for several weeks before you make any changes. That way it gives Google a chance to actually present it and show it and get people to see it. You can see the data that's building, and it's not changing anything. You might want to then create another ad that's similar, but maybe you want to change the headlines to see, are these headlines more effective? And then you can compare and you can start to get an idea about what are people searching for, what is making a difference. And you can also see, based on when you set up your Google ad, are those original goals that you set about, for example, more phone calls coming into the business? Is that happening? Have you seen an increase in phone calls since you launched this ad? So that's probably the big tip. Create an ad, leave it for a while, let it do its thing, and you can always remove it or pause it if you don't want it to run anymore. But there's
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I just have a couple questions specific to ads while we're here. So Rebecca says, I've tried Google Ads once before, but the click-through number didn't align with my website traffic data.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess it depends on how many ads you've got in circulation, and maybe people might be coming through from other areas, from other places to your business. Maybe there are other links linking onto your website. Yeah, it could be a number of things, but that's probably one that you might want to either send to our support team or take to a Google expert. But yeah, it can be a mission kind of understanding what's happening based on your ad versus how they're getting to your website and what are the other things impacting that.
Yeah, Rebecca says traffic was much less than what Google Ads said. Yeah, I was going to ask that. I was curious about which one.
Interesting. So they reckon that. So they reckon 100 people have clicked through, and you think that actually only 50 have come. That's interesting. I don't have the answer to that, I'm afraid. But I'm sure there'll be things on Google that maybe might give some examples or reasons why that might be happening.
Yeah, I was going to say you can email us support@digitalboost.co.nz and we can look into it and figure that one out, because that is an interesting one. It's very, yeah. Thank you.
And then Elaine is asking, if I have used Meta Ad, is this connected to checkable ads?
No, so this one is just Google Ads, so purely between the Google Ads account that you set up and connect to Checkable. We do have features on Checkable for Facebook and Instagram, not so much around creating ads, but it tracks some data that you have from those social media platforms that might be impacted by the ads that you've created through Meta. So you can take a look at the Instagram and Facebook pages on Checkable, and that pulls through some data around how many page likes and followers and impression rates and things like that. It's also quite an interesting one because on Checkable, it compares you with other businesses like yours, so other people that are in the same industry, maybe the same size, maybe the same number of years in business. So there's certain information that we compare you against. So it's kind of comparing apples with apples. So you can see on my social media page, I've got so many followers, or my impressions are this amount. Is that normal for a business like mine, or is that kind of standard? So you can check that out. But that was a really long-winded answer for no, you can't. Unfortunately, not at this point. You can't link Meta Ads to Checkable.
No, but we want you to be able to. We want to help. We want to help.
Yeah.
And when one quick last question, going back to our locations, when we were talking about locations in the ads. So if you are in Auckland and you service the whole region, should you narrow it down to all the suburbs as well, or just saying Auckland covers all the suburbs? Like, let's say we say Auckland and then we hit every single suburb. Does that increase?
I think probably
visibility
just as Auckland would be enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think by then adding every suburb is kind of doing that. You're just doubling up. But if you were a particular suburb or suburbs that you wanted to target, you could put Auckland as a whole, but maybe you really wanted to show your business in a particular suburb because you know that lots of your customers are interested in your product or service, and maybe one or two areas, that would be when you'd put your suburbs in. But I
Right.
think you wouldn't need to go through and add everything. I think that would be an overkill. But just to keep in mind, as soon as you start narrowing down, you do narrow down the people that start seeing your adverts. So you have to kind of decide, do I really want to target that little community, that kind of niche market, or do I want it to be discoverable by more people?
So Auckland itself could be narrow enough, especially
It
if
could
you
be
want.
narrow enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions before we just quickly move on? I'll just quickly show you what other things you can do. So we would say start with a smart campaign. It's the easiest, it's most straightforward. Google does everything for you. However, if you have previously created other campaigns on Google, you will see them appear in ad groups and portfolio strategies. So these are just different ways that you can combine ads that share similar goals or have common themes. So maybe you've got a baking company and you want to show a whole range of ads for all the different cake baking products that you have. Maybe they will all go into an ad group together and be seen together. So there's different things that you can do with your search campaigns. These won't work for smart campaigns, so you can completely ignore them. But if you've got existing ads, they will appear here and you'll be able to create portfolios and ad groups from Checkable. Same with assets. These are additional extensions that you can add to your search campaigns. So site links, which are those extra links that you might see under an ad that might redirect users to an About Us page, product page, contact us, all those sorts of things. So it's not the immediate URL that you want people to click through, it's sort of other things about your business. So you can set those up at an account level, which is they will appear for all ads that you create. So they can be handy. And if you set up these site link extensions, they will just automatically appear on all your ads. Or call out extensions, which are additional pieces of text. They're not clickable, but again, they're set up at an account level, so you don't have to keep recreating them every time you create an ad. It needs to be something that's relevant to all your ads. So a good example might be, you might offer free shipping. So you could create a call out extension that just says free shipping. So that little line of text just gets applied to all your ads. Or it might say 24/7 customer service. You can't click it, but it's just a piece of information for your customers that gets applied to everything. So again, you don't need to worry about that if you've created a smart campaign. Google will deal with that, but you can do that if you've created a search campaign. And then we get to keywords. So again, you can add keywords for existing search campaigns or existing ad groups and portfolios. And you can just find, if you're interested, you can just sort of find more out about that. Negative keywords. So these are the keywords that you don't want your ad shown up for. So it might be that there's similar words or phrases that mean the same thing, but it's not quite the same. So you might be an optometrist who sells glasses. You don't want searches for wine glasses showing your eyeglasses to those customers. So you might want to set up negative keywords for wine glasses, water glasses, whatever it might be that's kind of similar but unrelated to your business. So that's what a negative keyword is. And then search terms, unlike keywords, which is what you create and what you identify as something that if someone searches for it, your ad will be shown based on that. Search terms is the actual words that people are looking for that your ad has then been displayed for. So this is more just a display of those search terms. So you don't create them. They're more based on what have people looked for, and then your ad has popped up and they've clicked through to it. And that might give you some other ideas about keywords that then you can include back into your ad copy and into your website. So they might be slightly different to what you've actually identified as a keyword, but could be really useful because it's obviously what people are searching for. And again, for all of these, you can download a little CSV file so that you can organize them how you like and filter by date. And that is Google Ads. So it is a big beastie, but you can come and just do a simple ad in Checkable, keep track of it, and kind of ignore the rest of the noise until you're maybe more confident, and then you want to try and do some more targeted or elaborate things in Google Ads itself. But this is a good way to get started if you maybe a bit nervous about what to do first. And that is it really. I think if there's any other questions on Google Ads or anything else that we've talked about today about being found online.
Yeah, if you have any questions, pop them into the Q&A. But also you can go online onto Digital Boost and pop into the search function, SEO, Google Ads. We have so many Q&A, so many how-tos, so many videos. This is a great overview that Emily and Kat have shown us as to how Checkable works, how we can get in there and play around with it. But also, Emily, you're coming back on the 21st, aren't you? We're going to have part 2, the sequel. Yeah.
That's right. So today we did visibility, and if you come to the visibility category, you'll see there's loads of other things that you can look at to make you more findable online, so you can check those out. But in a couple of weeks, on the 21st, we're going to be looking at the customer experience category. So there's lots of things that you can do to make your website more usable and in line with your customers' expectations. So what are they looking for when they come online? What do you need to have so that it can make their shopping experience easier? This is particularly good for e-commerce businesses. A lot of these tests and checks that we run are relevant particularly to the shopping experience. But we're also going to talk about confirmation emails and accessibility. So we'll do a bit of a deeper dive into how your website is, if it's accessible to your customers, and things you might need to do to make improvements. So that will be a really good one to come along to, especially if you are an e-commerce business.
I mean, it's a fantastic tool, and we're so lucky to have it, and it's free, and you can just go in there and get all this information for free. I love free. If it's free, it's me. Give it to me. This is fantastic. Emily and Kat, thank you for taking the time to come on here, walk us through this. Emily, we'll see you again on the 21st for part 2. And if any of your questions haven't been answered, which I'm sure some will pop up later, please reach out to us at support@digitalboost.co.nz. Kat will be there. We've got some other people there who are fabulous who can answer all of your questions. And Thursday, I'm just going to plug a little bit for Thursday. Thursday, we're having a workshop, a more intimate workshop, but Q&A style in the workshop setting. So we are going to be chatting with Jung Chun. We're talking about building a thriving business and livelihood. So bring your coffee, bring your questions, bring your conversation. Jung is fantastic. Kat's going to join me on that call as well, because I just can't get rid of her. I just love her little face. So yeah, come along to that. And thank you again for joining us for this Q&A. We'll see you at the next one. Matewa.
Yeah.